There is a big criticism, I think, of satirists, is that we have the easy part, which is that we do dismantle. You know, we use comedy to criticise, to destroy. We used to do a series on Channel 4 with a comedian called Mark Thomas, which was a sort of rather similar to Michael Moore, where we stood at an arms fair and put on a stall to basically coach positive PR for dictators.
We're going to deal with a situation where you say, yes, torture does occur occasionally. Okay? If that's what, do you feel that that is the truth, first of all? Okay, if that's the truth, then I want you to say that right up to your neck like that.
So you do accept that your country does torture people and repress people?
We did some tortures. Not meaning to say that we have.
How do you justify that?
Torture's not funny, but I bet you the impact of that back in Indonesia was more because you humiliated him. You hadn't just got the information from him, you also made him look a fool.
But I'm just thinking about, does it actually make a difference?
I don't think you can. I think you'd be foolish as well if you thought that it'd be very pompous for comedians to think that they really had that leverage. I think what you might have, and this is just a thought, is that deep down you touch things within people that long term in a certain way. But I don't think the idea that comedians can win and lose elections for people, I doubt that very much. And it would be a dangerous country. If that was the case, you know, why put your trust in comedians? Because comedians are distrustworthy anyway. You know,
they'll do anything for a buck.
Exactly, it's an ego trip.
Hur står det då till med humorn i före detta Sovjetunionen? Hade de någonting att skratta åt överhuvudtaget? Ja, mer om det vet David kan vi kalla honom för. Helt enkelt, David är någon slags georgiskt svar på Jay Leno. Och Georgien var ju förstås en del av det humorbefriade före detta Sovjetunionen.
You can talk a lot about the comedy during the Soviet years, and a lot of stand-up comedians would claim that they were brave enough to joke about the Soviet politics during those years. But the Communist Party leaders' speeches were the best jokes. I mean, the real facts that they were telling people, they were the best jokes. But we didn't laugh at it. The audience didn't laugh at those Communist Party leaders providing the stand-up comedy routines, but we applauded. That's how we laughed during the Soviet times. We applauded. Of course it was dangerous because due to the the censorship issues, due to the fear that every citizen of the Soviet Union had, and due to some other things, you would have to avoid the topics like the Soviet politics, the Soviet politicians, their wives, the military things, etc. And you would have to joke about the things like your cat telling you lies every morning. I mean, you would have to joke about the things like that, and that would not be funny. That would not be funny at all. And there's nothing more dangerous for a comedian than your material being not funny. So yes, it was dangerous for a comedian.
När en regim börjar tafsa på yttrandefriheten, då är humorn ofta det första som ryker. Alltså ju mer totalitär en stat är, desto humorlösare är det. Och det beror naturligtvis på att dagens demokratiska ledare, de har förstått att humorn är ett vapen.
Och det förstod också Pieter-Dirk, en vit sydafrikan som humorbekämpade apartheid utklädd till tant. Och som fortfarande ibland drar på sig strumpebanden för att driva med politiska orättvisor.
We did not know what was happening in what you call so-called apartheid South Africa. I was here, I didn't see anything.
Well, you know, being threatened then, yeah, well, you know, I knew eventually, I knew I was illegal. I knew everything I did was against the law, but the law was bad. And they banned me and they stopped my work. I was punished. I didn't care. But now it's more difficult because under apartheid it was good against evil, black against white. It was very simple. The children understood the T-shirt. I have no longing back to those terrible, terrible days. Now everybody has got freedom of speech. And freedom of expression, freedom of opinion, and political correctness has become the new censorship.
The biggest problem is I can't see my little black grandchildren in the dark. Regtig, ek is baie bang ek maak hulle seer. So now when I go into their playroom at night, I knock on the door and I say, here comes Gogo, smile, and then I can see the little white teeth and just look.
I mean, she is so family friendly. I mean, she never uses bad language. And she's also a racist who's now a Democrat, like all of us. So she's a great clown to play with. And racism is an enormous part of my material because I was brought up as a racist, as a white South African. My church made me feel special, so my church was racist, my God was racist, my education was racist. And it was only literally in the last 20 years that I realized that I have to fight it like you fight alcoholism. I'm an alcoholic, therefore I do not drink. I'm a racist, therefore I will not be a racist. It's a work in progress, constantly.
After the systematic massacre of its Aboriginal peoples, the Australians now accuse us of racial genocide, let me tell you. Today we have 23 million blacks alive in South Africa. While they only have 160,000 left in Australia.
Jokes, I don't make jokes. I wish I could. I think some other comedians are brilliant at telling jokes. I can't remember jokes. I tell the truth, which is funnier. And it's not, you don't laugh because it's funny, you laugh because you're so shocked that you don't know how to react. Or you laugh because you recognize the racism in it, the prejudice, the fear. It's mainly about fear.
I dagens demokratiska Sydafrika så finns det naturligtvis också utrymme för svarta komiker och en av de största just nu heter David Cow. Han drar sig inte ens för att driva med nationalhelgonet Nelson Mandela.
So like black people that are here, do you swim? No fucking way. Black people just don't like swimming. How many times do you think they tried to rescue Nelson Mandela from Robben Island? White people just left him there. He was not in jail, he was just chilling. Every long weekend, some black guy will come. Madiba, come, we're gonna go, let's go, we're gonna break you out of jail. Tata Masam. Madib comes out of his jail cell. Where is the boat?
There are people that won't like me making jokes about Mandela, even though he doesn't have a problem with it, but then there'll be somebody else, or that's somebody that works for him, or a relative, or somebody that just feels like that, you know, how can you say that about Nelson Mandela? So some people take it that far. Some comedians, Mark Banks, once did a joke about Muslim people, and he got death threats. It does happen. I guess it can get dangerous sometimes.
Humorsmaken är som baken. Alla har en, och så även världens diktatorer. Diktatorn Hitler till exempel slopade all typ av kabaréunderhållning på ett bräde. Det var inte hans kopp te helt enkelt. Stalin var barnsligt förtjust i Charlie Chaplin-rullar, och Idi Amins favoritskämt var att cykla runt helt på egen hand och vinka som om det var det sjukaste som hade hänt någonsin. Men den viktigaste pusselbiten i kartläggningen av diktatorernas humorpreferenser är ett fynd som amerikanska soldater gjorde vid intagandet av ett palats tillhörande Oday Hussein, Saddams grabb. I Oday Husseins VHS-samling fanns filmen Air Bud, en komedi om en baseballspelande golden retriever, i inte mindre än 3 exemplar. Oday alltså.
Den bästa satiren hittar man faktiskt här i USA just nu. Framförallt då med The Daily Show med Jon Stewart. En show som alltid är väl slipad och busfärsk. Sen är den faktiskt också rätt larvig, vilket jag tycker är kul. Vi ska träffa Rob och Jason, 2 av killarna som skriver för The Daily Show.
This is The Daily Show with Jon Stewart.
What cliches are on your no list of stuff that you would not joke about? That
we try to avoid the shooting fish in a barrel phenomenon, and if we can do something that's a little different and maybe that, you know, has a smidge of education in it, I think that that's more the direction we'll take.
Right. The President Bush, I think, was something where we realized that he actually wields quite a bit of power, and to make him seem like just sort of a harmless, crazy old uncle or something like that, it's not really conveying the state of the country, I think.
Now, politicians, of course, are trying to be funnier today than like 20 years ago. Why do you think that is?
Because television has gotten so much more important, and there's a sense that personality, as much or more than issues on platform, are going to play a role in your campaign, that you have to be out there, you have to be the everyman, you have to be this sort of personal guy, and having a sense of humor is one way to show that, or that politicians will attempt to show that.
It's just like the way that a politician always has to stand in front of construction workers and show they're man of the people. Now, to show you're man of the people, you also have to sit on the couch with Jay Leno, which is sort of like one of the required stops on the campaign tour.
So they do the daycare center, they do that. They just work their way through into the studio. Now, how does it affect your job if a politician actually is funny?
It's hard. We usually try to avoid that because, you know, if they know that they're being funny, then there's nowhere for us to go with it. Right. If they're trying to be funny and they're bad at it, maybe we have an angle then. But in general, it's sort of easier for us if we're the funny ones and they stick to their jobs.
Right.
But yesterday at 11:58 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, America witnessed perhaps the most shocking scene of all.
Katrina exposed serious problems in our response capability at all levels of government. And to the extent that the federal government didn't fully do its job right, I take responsibility.
Holy
Har vi lärt oss någonting nu då? Ja, förutom då att politisk humor verkar fungera lite sämre än vad de flesta aktivister tror, så har vi lärt oss det att humorister inte behöver delta i politiken rent praktiskt. Däremot så ska de skämta om det. Men politikerna däremot, de ska hålla sina smutsiga tassar borta från humorn. Låt proffsen hålla på med det. Sen att vissa politiker är roliga helt ofrivilligt, ja, det är ju en annan femma.
Hallå, nu tycker jag att vi gemensamt i denna sal sjunger We shall overcome.
Förra veckan så uppträdde jag för en liten ledningsgrupp.
Det har ju blivit en gigantisk marknad där företag går in och köper mycket underhållning.
You're my neighbor. There's got to be a character based on you.
The character was based on me. A lot of the episodes were based on things that happened in my life.
Because the Americans think of money primarily, most of the time.
So.